And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom in front of this powerful Patriot Mobile microphone. Here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center, welcome in Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, my brother from another mother in Dallas, Texas?
Not too bad. Trying not to melt out here.
Yeah, well, send it my way. Guys, I was just talking with Greg just moments ago. It's only 79 degrees here, and it's cool. Very weird for this time of year. And
Yeah,
it's hotter
definitely.
in this studio today than it was yesterday when it was in the high 80s. So go figure. And then Greg tells me he's going to send me some 90s, which I know is coming anyway.
89 right now.
That's okay. Don't mind it. Don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. But I'm still trying to figure out that weird why it's hotter in here today than it was yesterday.
The heat index has got you. That's the problem?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, the heat index.
I don't know. I could just be in a really good mood today.
Yeah, that too.
You want to tell people why?
I think I have a guess.
Go ahead. Guess. Go on. Say it.
Hold on, let me put the envelope to my head. What is the Talkers 100 list came out today?
Yes, it did. It did.
We'll see. Hold on, I'm zoning in.
did.
Give me a sec. I'm trying to zone in on. We reached lower than the 90s.
Yeah. We moved up the list this year. But
moving
listen,
on up.
I don't care about that. Just being on that list is an absolute honor, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Hoosier, I want to give a big shout out to Andy. Andy's the one that called me today to tell me that the list came out.
Oh, yeah?
And that he was on the list. He's just a couple notches behind me on that list. We've both moved up on that list. And like I said, neither one of us care about that. It's just making that list is incredibly humbling, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second year in a row we've hit it. And it is...
Number 87.
It's an honor to be named one of the 100 most important talk radio show hosts in America. We're very proud of that. And guys, let me make this very clear. Listeners, we couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't do it without our sponsors. It's that simple. It just simply wouldn't happen. After now in our 18th year on the nation's airwaves, we could not do it without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank each and every one of you. It's humbling to say the least. I got to stop talking about it. I'll choke up on it because it's quite an honor. It really, truly is, Greg. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. You can tell people where they can watch the show and listen and all that fun stuff right now. And then we'll go to our guests. We have two great guests with us, at least for a portion of the show. We have Cheryl Todd coming up from POG Auctions and from AZCDL and AZ Firearms. And, I mean, she's just got it going
from
on.
A handful
and of course,
things.
Gun Freedom Radio and Holly Sullivan from CCRKBA and CCDL. That's Connecticut Citizens Defense League will be here. Greg, go ahead and get us started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure. Places to watch the show are going to be YouTube. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can also head over to X and watch us there at AAR Mark. You can always head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, select your watch live or listen live option. And to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, let's bring Cheryl Todd in first. Cheryl, we've got you up on camera. You're looking good, looking good. It's good to see you on the radio. How you doing?
Always good to see you doing.
We just lost you there. We lost your voice. We lost you technicality there. Let's try that.
She completely dropped. I'm not too sure what's up with that, but she, hold on one second.
Okay. Greg's going to check on that real quick while we're doing that. I think I got you back. Cheryl, can we hear you?
Yes,
Yeah,
sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
doing great. I'm so excited to be on with you today. Can't wait to talk with Holly. We got to see her over the weekend. And just dive into all the stuff going on. And congratulations
thank you so
on
much.
moving up that list, even being on that list.
Yes.
Like, shut up already. It's amazing.
Shut up
And
already, right?
Moving up. Shut up already.
Shut up and talk radio. Let's go over to Holly Sullivan from the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms and Connecticut Citizens Defense League. We're going to give you center stage up here, Holly, on the screen. How are you today? It's great to have you on the program again.
I'm good, Mark. Thanks so much for having me. And hi, Cheryl. Good to talk to you again, like I didn't just see you.
Well, tell us, let's start right there. How come you just saw Cheryl a week ago? Not even.
So, yeah, actually, not even. I think I just saw Cheryl on Saturday evening was the last time, and so we're only a couple of days out. So Cheryl was kind enough to fly all the way from Arizona to visit us in Massachusetts at the New England Firearms Advocacy Conference, which was hosted by the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Super immersive, amazing day of deep thought thinkers across New England and visitors from across the country on the Second Amendment issue, and it was just really a fantastic event. And yeah, we'll definitely dive into that more.
Let's do that real quick. Cheryl, you were there before we take a deeper dive. Cheryl, you were there, and you did, and I appreciate you going out there as a member of the board of directors for the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, who sponsored this event along with others. Jared Yanis, Guns and Gadgets, and many others also did some sponsorship work for us, and we appreciate it so much. And I know how much work Holly put into this, and you got to see the fruits of her labor. Give us your thoughts on what happened at the conference.
It was such a beautifully produced event. It was so professional. It was warm. Very often these kind of events do feel like a family reunion, and this definitely had that feel to it. But I was able to, because of their efforts of putting this together, meet organizations that I've never met before, meet people I've never met before, except maybe through social media, and being able to hear from all of these different organizations about all of the different things going on in their states was invaluable, because, I'm sitting over here in Arizona right now, and AZCDL has worked real hard to keep things as freedom as possible, right? Freedom-friendly as possible. But whatever's happening elsewhere will find its way to our doorstep. And so we've been given a ton of cautionary tales and some strategies to work on. And it's amazing. I can't appreciate Holly and her team enough for putting this together. And there was no way I was missing the inaugural event.
Yeah, in the unfree state, Holly, of Massachusetts. Now, you are also heavily involved with the Connecticut Citizens Defense League as well. We've got some background noise on the phone. Greg, I don't know if we can fix that on our end or not. Holly, I don't know if we can get somewhere where there's not so much noise coming in on the background. That would be huge. Thank you so much. But, Holly, because you're so heavily involved with CCDL, and I've been telling listeners this since you and I talked on the Monster Cast just a few days back, it's free to join that organization. Would you please beg people again to join for free? It doesn't matter where you live, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's easy to do. Very easy to do. Yeah, you just check us out at ccdl.us, and you'll see a little Join Now button. And like Mark said, it's free to become a member. Obviously, if you'd like to become a tiered member and contribute, we'd be happy to accept that. But please, get on our membership list and find out what is going on here behind the deep blue curtain in New England, because as Cheryl said, what happens here does spread to the rest of the country as much as we're trying to hold the line, for sure.
And you are trying to hold the line. Lamont just signed a Glock ban in your state of Connecticut on, I believe, Wednesday last week. We've been talking a lot about that here because this is far bigger than just a Glock ban. I'm going to guess that may have come up during the conference at some point.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely came up. So our Vice President, Matt Strasser, did a two-way State of the State and definitely spoke about that. And, we're going to see where this goes. I think, without saying too much, when these bans come up, there's always repercussions down the line. So there's still a long journey ahead of us.
Okay. Before we go to the break, can you stay with us for one more segment, Holly?
Yeah, of course.
All right, good deal. We'll do that. We're going to keep Holly for a second segment. Cheryl, Arizona. Now, wow, what a change of pace between Arizona and Connecticut, right? But honestly, it's really not. And here's why. All we've got to do is put Virginia in the middle of that. All right? Mm-hmm. We are one Senate seat. I keep jumping on this every time we talk about AZCDL and how important this is now that this fight is in the states. And I know, ladies and gentlemen, both of these beautiful women get it because they're in there fighting every single day on your behalf. And as we just heard, it's not just about Connecticut. It's not just about Mass where the conference was held. It's not just about Arizona or Virginia. We're going to talk about Colorado coming up with Cheryl as well, because what a mess that is. But if you were to put Virginia in the center, Arizona is only one Senate seat, 2 House seats away from flipping. You already have a Democrat in the governor's mansion, and you already have a Democrat AG. I'm going to give you 20 seconds before we have to take a hard break. You can take us to the music with that. That's why it's so important, is it not?
It's so important. And actually, I've been sort of harping on a theme lately called Vote Like a Boss. Yeah. Now, that could be taken a few ways, but I mean like a CEO hires their staff. That's what I'm talking about. They don't hire for a flashy smile, right, or a fancy resume paper, right? They hire for skills, for experience and who is going to drive the mission of the organization forward.
Going
so
forward.
Vote like a boss.
Vote like a boss. I like it. When we come back from the break, Holly Sullivan, CCDL and CCRKBA. I'll tell you what those mean again when we come back. We're going to hit the hard break. And, of course, Cheryl Todd from Gun Freedom Radio. We'll be right back after the break. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, really from the bottom of my heart. While the founding fathers here, the founding rockers, might be rolling over in their graves because of what's going on across the country, right now today, I'm going to tell you that we don't take anything in stride, but it's a day to celebrate here at Armed American Radio. We're very honored and proud to have won that. We could not have done that without, you don't say win it, but just being anywhere on that list is phenomenal. And it's because of listeners like you, and it's because of our great sponsors. Please support all of them. They're what makes it happen, and that's what will make us be here for the next 18 years as well. Also, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, which is growing like a weed. Jared Yanis and I put a couple collaborative videos out yesterday that are still getting tons and tons of views. Jared, you heard him on the program on Sunday's Monster Cast for the entire second hour. We were able to take a couple of those snippets out and create a long-form video and a short-form. Many thousands of viewers. Take a listen to his warnings and his messages in that short form on YouTube. And if you would be so kind, please hit the subscribe button. We are growing by several 100% over there. And again, we cannot do it without you. So please help us out over there and keep the momentum going. We appreciate it. We'll be back with Holly Sullivan from Connecticut Citizens Defense League and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, and Cheryl Todd from Gun Freedom Radio and POG Auctions as soon as this hard break is done running, because it's those breaks that pay the bills. Yeah, welcome back to the show. I'll take one of Jared's lines, guys and gals. This works, right? Greg in Dallas, that works. Guys and gals.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
guys and dames, going back to the 40s. Guys and dames, right?
It's a lot better than they them. So yes,
them?
guys and gals.
Okay, well, we're talking about Cove Pure Water and Blackout Coffee. Let's do this at the same time today, Greg. Ask me how many cups of both of those I had today.
How many cups of liquid did you have to start today?
Well, when it comes to the purified water, I've probably had 16 to 20, 24 ounces of that water from Cove Pure, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to go into all the detail on the live reads on that today, but I will tell you to check out covepure.com. It's the biggest hit we have here in the house lately since we got the unit just last weekend. My wife was able to set it up. It's that easy to do. And I was out here working, and she said, oh, my gosh, this thing is wonderful. And it is. covepure.com/AAR. Go check it out. The landing page they put up for us is beautiful. What you will learn will blow your mind and kind of make you sick at the same time, because you had no idea you were drinking what you were drinking. Even purified water out of your refrigerator and filtered and all that stuff. Take a look at Cove Pure. And as far as the Blackout Coffee is concerned, there's a QR code up there if you're watching on your screens. That's blackoutcoffee.com, blackoutcoffee.com. Later, when you see the blue one pop up, that'll be the Cove Pure, and I'll let you know when that comes up. blackoutcoffee.com/AAR. I had 2 cups of that to start my day today, Greg. So there you have it. And, guys, it's our sponsors that put us on that top 100 list now, second year in a row, along with you. So please support them all. Let's go back to Cheryl Todd, Gun Freedom Radio. Cheryl, welcome back in.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And let's also go back to Holly Sullivan. We'll put her back on center stage again because she deserves it with everything that she's done over the past several months, I might add. Holly, let me flip the script over to you now. Let's talk about the Glock ban, but not in the sense of the brand or the firearm itself. Let's talk about it as how the anti-gunners behind the blue wall, and let's compare this to Delaware now. And I can't wait to get your opinion on this because, as you are likely well aware, there's now a Third Circuit case fighting the Delaware FOID card. Now, in the Third Circuit, we stand a pretty good chance of winning that case. However, 17 anti-gun attorneys general just this past week signed onto a brief to defend having to get a permit to purchase a gun and a permit to carry a gun, which stemmed from part of the Bruin decision where they found facially that permits were okay under certain conditions. Isn't this just another example of why we have to stay on our toes and the creativity of the other side? Kind of compare the two, because you're in Connecticut where the Glock was banned.
Yeah, I mean, I live in a place where permits just are, you need a permit for everything. You can't buy ammunition in my state without a permit. I'm not even kidding. You have to get fingerprinted to buy a single round of 22.
Oh, my
You
gosh.
can't buy anything here without a permit. Not only that, like, I don't even know, we have 5 permits here. We have a temporary permit that you have to get from your local police department, and all that allows you to do is carry in your own town if you already own a gun, but you can't buy a gun or ammunition with that permit. Everybody has to start with that. Then you have to go to the state, get your actual carry permit. I mean, you name it. We kind of live with it and have lived with it for 13 years, so it seems I'm kind of like, sometimes I look around and I go like, they're just doing that. God, it sucks though, because if we could hold the line here, it wouldn't go that far. But the reality is what a lot of listeners around the country need to understand is you think it's never going to come to you, and the reality is all of this is eventually coming to you. And I think, even just talking to Cheryl and understanding how tight Arizona is starting to get, you've got folks that are moving out of states like California, flooding Arizona for better quality of life, but they bring their political ideology with them. It's the same thing here. I mean, there's a lot of Northerners that went to Florida. Thank God Florida's doing a great job down there, but, they bring their voting history and their ideology with them. So nothing surprises me. I mean, the idiocracy of gun laws here in the Northeast would shock folks. It's no joke when I say we have 5 permits. You can't do anything.
Not just for guns.
It's just a matter of time until it goes everywhere.
I might add, when you say permits for everything, it's not just guns.
Stuff?
You want to dig a ditch in your front yard,
Yeah.
you got to get a permit and pay a tax. Soon they're going to make you get a
Absolutely.
license and a permit to make the phone call to dig a ditch before you call to pay to dig the ditch. That's how crazy it is. Cheryl, what we don't want, and this is why, Arizona, we're focusing so much on Arizona. This is Quang Nguyen month on Armed American Radio, the Shredder. We have dedicated this month to Quang Nguyen. It is Quang Nguyen month because that man is fighting harder than anybody I know as a legislator trying to stop what Holly's describing in Connecticut from happening to the great state of Arizona. Now, the left likes to say Georgia's purple, Holly and Cheryl. It's not. Georgia's a bright red state. The problem we have here is a Democrat-run city in Fulton County by the name of Atlanta. Now, I could go back into history and say, hindsight's 2020. There are some things I would have recommended Sherman did on his march through Georgia that he didn't do, which would have saved us from the problems we have now, but that didn't happen. So we are where we are today. And as the blueness kind of creeps out into the burbs a little bit, we are facing what's happening in Arizona. You guys are a lot closer than us. And Holly mentions that they vote their politics. I guess maybe I'll remind both of you this. The HOAs, those people move from Connecticut, New York, California. They go down, and Holly, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this story, but the HOA associations, 2 of them in Florida, just banned guns on all the grounds outside people's homes. DeSantis and the AG made it very clear, if that goes into effect, we're going to sue you into last week. Now, Cheryl, these fights continue even in red states.
Yes, they do. And that is why it is so important to be tapped in, to be a member of the organizations like CCDL and AZCDL and whatever your CDL is that's actually doing the work and getting the work done. Because one voice can be ignored, but the amount of membership that comes together when you've also had Michael and Vanson on your show.
Yeah, right.
He is our chief lobbyist for AZCDL. He and Quang Nguyen work very closely with each other down there at the Capitol. When Michael walks in and talks with the different legislators or goes to D.C., or I go to D.C. as Women for Gun Rights or AZCDL, the legislators reasonably want to know how many people they're really talking to when they're talking to Cheryl Todd or Michael and Fanson. And that is why this membership into these organizations is so important. Because if we say, oh, well, we've got a handful of concerned citizens, it's easy to overlook us. But if we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have sent us before them, right, to represent them, now that is getting their attention because they're concerned with the next time they come up for vote. Like, let's just be realistic about it.
Holly,
they care
Holly,
about money.
Let me stop you,
votes.
Cheryl. Holly, I've only got about 20 seconds. I'm going to ask you, Holly, one more time. Can you stay for one more segment with us?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good deal. We're going to keep Holly Sullivan here with us because I've got a couple other questions for you. These hard breaks just keep coming. But, guys, it's those hard breaks that allow you to hear from our fantastic sponsors that help us make that Heavy 100 list now 2 years running. Please support all of our great partners. And I've got some questions about CCDL specifically for Holly that will matter to you where you live. And we're going to tie it again to some of these other states. Wait till we have a conversation about Colorado coming up. Oh, good heavens. Guys, we'll be back from the break right after these messages. Don't go away. Visit our sponsors. And thanks for tuning in. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the show. Those of you listening on your radio dials around the country, I guess about 100 stations now, Greg, something like that. You hear all that. That's the Patriot Mobile Rejoin. We keep that off on the stream, guys, because we don't want to get copyright strikes. Again, we're working on fixing that. But got a cool Patriot Mobile hat on that I have to fight my wife and kids for every day. Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. I've been keeping it in the studio, so they hadn't been able to get their mitts on it. And this is a Patriot Mobile phone. It is patriotmobile.com/AAR. While we are sitting here chatting right now, Patriot Mobile is somewhere, in a lot of places. So I can say somewhere around the country, some of their staff is out there fighting for your right to keep and bear arms right now in different venues, different forums, talking, speaking, donating, working with, and supporting your right to keep and bear arms. So support Patriot Mobile, patriotmobile.com/AAR. All American customer service. 80% of them carry their firearms at work in Texas. It's Texas. But their competitors, and there are three big competitors to Patriot Mobile. We don't like to mention their names, but that would be AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. They don't encourage their employees to carry firearms at work. In fact, they'd probably fire them. So why wouldn't you switch a phone over and support the businesses that support your right to keep and bear arms? I also want to ask you to visit our newest sponsor, PendletonSafes.com. Amazing is all I can tell you. If you open your gun safe like I do and get frustrated, and I do, I admit my safe is nowhere near as organized as it should be. And as my collection grows and other things in life go into the safe, it just gets worse. But guess what? Pendleton Safes has solved that problem. Everything inside with 400 LED lights rotates. You never have to touch another firearm or another piece of paper or a piece of jewelry or a coin to get at the ones you want because it's all automatic. They come right to you. And when they get to you, you reach in and comfortably pull it out and go, oh, I'm so glad I got a Pendleton safe. It's pretty much that way. Go give them a look at PendletonSafes.com, PendletonSafes.com. Let's go back to Holly Sullivan. Holly, welcome back in. I thank you so much. I asked Greg to mention during the break. I'm asking you to stay a little bit longer on a live mic. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. Thank you so much for continuing to stay with us today. There's some things that I want to talk with you about before we go back to Cheryl. And I kind of want to tie these things together. And during the break, it dawned on me what Cheryl said about the power in numbers, right? How important is that at CCDL? Because it doesn't matter if we live in that state. If you have more power in numbers behind you, does that help sway the legislature? So that's a good segue into the question I wanted to ask you is, because I know how active you are at the legislature in Connecticut, are they listening to you? Are they really? Do the Democrats listen to you?
So I think that's a double-edged question. So does it change things? Yes, it does. However, we are also limited by being in the minority. So in Connecticut, they have a supermajority, which means they overwhelmingly dominate the House, the Senate, and the governorship. However, the changes that are able to be made in the bills are notable. So, for example, in the testimony against the Glock bill, I think we had something like, gosh, forgive me for not remembering, like 1,200 or 1,400 testimonies against the bill, and they might get maybe 2 or 3 dozen for it, right? So at the end of the day, it's the governor's bill. Like, our governor sponsored this bill. It was his bill from go. He's getting his bill. But do they listen to us and say, okay, we understand these various things that came up in testimony? Like, for example, one of the things that was talked about constantly was that people want to be able to leave their Glocks to their children, which the original language of the bill would not have permitted. That was revised. So there's things that we can do to make things better, and I just don't want anybody to misunderstand that I think that it's now okay It's not okay. These bills are still not okay, but we do have to use the numbers that we have to do as much positive good as we can.
You're going to hate what I'm going to say right now because I'm going to be right. And I know you already know this. I'm really kind of saying this for benefit of listeners. But you live in a state where success is defined as how few sucky things get through. And if you can stop the suck on some of these bad bills and embrace that, that's a victory behind the blue wall. And we'll take a victory, particularly under the conditions that you're operating under, right? We'll take that as a victory. I'm sure we can change this.
Well, so it's also not just about, like, did we defeat it or did we not defeat it? The other thing to make a point of it, and Cheryl mentioned Michael, who's their lobbyist. We have, CCDL now has a lobbyist up there all the time. We had 15 House Democrats vote with us, meaning they voted against the Glock ban. For 15 Democrats to come over is major progress for us. That the last major bill was strictly across party lines. So when we start to see that we have 15 relationships that we've been working on, it gives me hope that there's things that we can turn. And just for the record, there are absolutely bills that we've completely defeated up here.
Right.
You know, a couple of years ago, we had a show your papers bill where people could basically, it was like a stop and frisk gun bill, that if an officer even suspected that you had it, they could just stop and ask to demand to see what, you know, turn your pockets out. So we've had some total victories. We've definitely won on the ammo taxes. I mean, they wanted to tax, I don't know, 25 cents a round on every single round you own. Imagine that on like a bulk box of 22 at 25 cents a round. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But there are victories that we have. When we get into a session where the governor comes in and says, I want this bill, i.e. every town for gun safety wants this bill, they're getting their bill that year. It's how much work can we do behind the scenes to make it better for our members and the residents of our state.
And there's power in numbers, ladies and gentlemen. There is just power in numbers. Cheryl, I heard you, and I see you shaking your head. I heard you say, when she mentioned tax. California, just bordering you, has the same thing.
So this is actually anti-safety. The very side that says it's all about protecting children, that if it just saves one life, you know, if there's anything they can do about safety, they say that out of one side of their mouth, and then they make it harder for us to practice, harder for us to train. That is the key and the core of being safe and proficient. So these things are anti-safety bills, and I don't know, because I haven't fought the fight. Thank God I haven't had to fight that fight, Holly. But are you able to use that kind of language back against them?
Great question, Holly.
Absolutely. And that, you know, and where we were actually very successful in that is when you look at it, who are they? So here, I'll be honest, living here in Connecticut, we have some of the wealthiest people in the country that live in this region. You're not hindering the guy that lives behind his gated house in Fairfield County, but you are going to hinder the single mom or the disenfranchised folks or the socioeconomically disadvantaged members of your community with a tax like that. You go to a guy who's a multimillionaire, he could give a damn if he pays an extra $20 in taxes at the register, but that's the difference for somebody that's not in the same socioeconomic arena as he is, as whether or not they can practice or not.
Yeah, and guys, when she says Fairfield County, I want you to think Fairfield. I want you to think Greenwich. Okay, we're talking some big bucks along that southern 95 corridor. I used to live in Connecticut. I graduated high school there. And Holly, I don't know if you know this, but I did my first year of college at the University of Bridgeport. I know all about having to walk from that bus station at midnight on a Friday to get back to my dorm because I didn't have a car at that time. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, I slept at the bus station rather than take that walk. That's how dangerous that city is. Holly, you are doing God's work. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the extra 2 segments that we technically didn't have you scheduled for. I love you so much. Guys, that's ccdl.org. It is free to join. Just go over and put your name on the rolls. Add your name to the list. I don't know how we can make it any easier for you. She is doing incredible work up there. This affects all of us. Cheryl Todd is going to stay with us for the final segment. And we're going to cover, I guess, you know, as a host herself, I'm going to let her cover whatever she wants to. I'll act as the guest. How about that one, Cheryl? You're pretty good at that. I always enjoy being on your show as well.
Funny.
When we come back, Cheryl Todd for one more segment on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, where we celebrate today being listed for the second year running as one of the nation's top 100 most important talk radio show hosts in America. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks. We'll be right back. I've got my attorneys on retainer card here, and I tell you this every single day during this segment on the broadcast Monday through Friday and on the Monstercast. This card represents up to 4 attorneys. Well, it actually represents more than that. It represents the entire team of attorneys, not just the lead attorneys, but the entire staff. And there's over 150 employees there. And guess what? The 4 attorneys that are going to sit at my table, think of it as the dream team, those of you old enough, and I know the demographics of my show. The vast majority of you, about 75%, know what the dream team is. That's what you get at Attorneys on Retainer, and they're doing something very special for you right now through the month of July. They have extended the NRA's $50 off if you use the promo code AAR. Promo code is AAR, and I'm going to give Jared Yanis a shout-out, too. It's GNG. If you don't like me, but you like the content of the show, and you love Jared Yanis, and many of you do, use his code. I don't care. Just visit Attorneys on Retainer and hook yourself up and put this card in your wallet. It is the equivalent of having 4 self-defense attorneys plus the entire team in your back pocket. God forbid you have to use a firearm to defend your life. You can find them at attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. You'll see the discounts there on the page. They've got a beautiful page there, a lot of testimonials. Check it out. Don't forget Cove Pure, covepure.com/AAR. PendletonSafes.com, and all of our great partners, all of them. You can find them all, including POG Auctions, over at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Cheryl Todd, welcome back in. Always a pleasure to have you here. I love you so much. You know, I was thinking, every time you and I talk, sometimes we get a little nostalgic. And we go back to that time that I met you in Phoenix, Arizona so many years ago when my kids were knee-high to grasshoppers, and I was leaning against a wall at the happy hour on Friday for the mixer when everybody was coming in for the Gun Rights Policy Conference at the Marriott downtown Phoenix. And Guy Cheryl walked up to me and she said, "Mark, it's so nice to meet you. I'm Cheryl Todd." And she goes, "I'm starting a radio program. Can I talk to you for a little bit?" And I look now, all these years later, and you and I have become so close. And I see you still got your polka dots on. Polka dots are your camo. That's what you like to say. This is a little bit smaller version of your polka dots. But over all of that time, Cheryl, what is in the number of years that we've known each other and that we've been very active in this fight, what is your biggest takeaway? What do you think is the biggest victory we've achieved? Whether it's a Supreme Court case, whatever it may be, how would you answer that? And I don't mean to put you on the spot with that, but can you pick something that steps out
I
at
don't
you?
feel. Yeah, I don't feel put on the spot at all. I honestly think that Bruin has been the biggest, most amazing kind of home run. But at the same time that I say that, I say, why do we need justices to say exactly what this book tells us? Why? Why are we in this position? But thank God for Bruin. And then I think on a personal level, you know, the fact that I do get to be friends with people like you, people like Holly, and help to create community around this idea of safeguarding our right to keep and bear arms, and to see that the needle really is moving. I think that's why the other side is so active and so angry and doing crazy things like what you mentioned in Colorado. And, you know, 150 pages of guns.
150 pages.
Like,
Thanks
if there
for
was
bringing
one
that up.
gun, if there was one gun per page, that's crazy. But I can't even imagine. I haven't looked it up. I was in this happy mood. I get to be on with you today. I get to help celebrate your big, 100 talkers, heavy talkers.
Yeah, and I mentioned Colorado
And
to you
then
to bring you
tell
down.
me-
Leave it to me to do that, right?
5 minutes before we go in the air, and then I'm like, now my head wants to explode. My hair's on fire, but it just makes me more passionate. And then if I can just lean into, while I was at Holly's event at the New England Firearms Advocacy Conference, a couple came up and introduced themselves, and their story is longer than what we have time for right now. But the man's name is Kyle and Diane Jackson, They were moving from the free state of Arizona to Massachusetts, where Diane was from, and pulled over in Massachusetts only because her tag had expired, I think like the day before. Everything they own is in the car, right? And so what do they own? Because they come from Arizona, they own guns. So apparently the problem wasn't even the guns, it was the high capacity magazines, which are really standard capacity magazines. We know that. On the spot, they put handcuffs on Kyle. They impound their car with everything they own and leave Diane standing on the street corner with nothing. This is how they treat people when these laws that are feel good, that sound good, that come out of, I really do think that there's a lot of people that mean well when they write these laws or they support these laws, but they wreck people's lives. Kyle was in jail for 4 months. So Diane loses her job. He loses his job prospect. He is out of jail, but he's homeless.
All right, let me throw something in here. Let me throw something in here. You're giving him far more of a pass than I would, and I ever will, and I'll tell you why. Because the cops that locked him up should be prosecuted themselves, as far as I'm concerned. They should be the ones locked up for violation of constitutional rights under the color of law. That's a bunch of nonsense, and I could get very FCC unfriendly on this story, which you did hit me with earlier. And we're going to bring you back on to talk about this. We might even see if we can squeeze you in Sunday, because this story, can we get Kyle on the air with us? Do you know?
I guarantee you could.
Okay,
he and Diane
so we're going to do that.
Are very well spoken about this.
All right, then we want to bring him on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear stuff like this, if you're like me, your blood boils. And we've talked to people who have done 2 and 3 years for this very type, for doing nothing but owning the firearm that you own right now, but because they cross a state line into Commeyville. And all right, we've got 1 minute. I got to calm down on that, because that is, you take this personal. I take this personal.
You do.
I cannot imagine.
They're by the grace of God, right?
Right. Well, I'm not going to go to Massachusetts, and I know maybe that's where she's from. But in today's day and age, sorry, there's airplanes. I mean, that's just the way I look at things. I won't go certain places. I certainly wouldn't live there. I don't care how much money I was offered. I would never move to California, ever. There's no dollar bill and no amount of dollar bills that would send me there. I couldn't wake up and watch the news and see Newsom on the, I just couldn't do it. So God bless these people for what they go through. And unfortunately, they have to martyr themselves so that we can talk about it and help to fix these problems. In the meantime, there's a chunk of their lives are gone that they will never, ever, ever get back. And the trauma that they went through, I hope they sue FCC unfriendly, FCC unfriendly, FCC unfriendly, FCC unfriendly, all of them. And the cops that arrested them, as far as I'm concerned, and I'll tell you why that's so scary. And I don't have enough time to go into this, and I have to be very, very careful. But this is not Nazi Germany. I don't want to hear I was just doing my job. Cops have discretion on the side of the road. And the fact that they will enforce this nonsense is everything you need to know. And ladies and gentlemen, that's a great opportunity to tell you to join these organizations, lest it happen to you. Don't believe me? See Virginia. It happened like that. One election. And that's what Virginians are facing right now. Hey, Cheryl, where can people find you? Real quick, about 15 seconds.
Gunfreedomradio.com on all the socials, and also POGauctions.com. Dan's been on a week-long wine trip from Arizona to Chicago to a big coin-op show there. He's got a trailer coming back tomorrow full of all kinds of treasures.
Well, you'll see it all, guys. Yeah, you'll see it all, guys, on POG Auction. Cheryl, I love you. We got to go. We're up against the hard break. We'll see you on the radio next weekend. Guys, enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio. Thanks for being here. We pushed that as far as we could. I want everybody to get their words out, and it's hard to do. But when you hear a story like that, and she sent me that information, we're going to bring that couple on the program, and it will boil your blood. And this is just one story. There are countless stories like this that don't make the news, that we don't hear about. Folks, we don't want it to be you, okay? And the most surefire way to stop this from happening is by joining organizations. And the best way to do it, as Jared mentioned on the show the other day, if you can join the National Rifle Association or the SAF and then a states' rights organization, be it your own state or something else. Just add something to that. If we multiply that, we can stop this garbage from happening. We're going to win these battles, ladies and gentlemen. I may not be alive to see the end of it, but it's going to take people coming up behind me and coming up behind you to see to it that it happens. And that means you have to get active so your kids get active and their kids get active. The left, as Ryan Petty says, will never stop. And he's dead spot on. Guys, I love you. Thank you for helping us and pushing us to that Talkers Heavy 100 list for the second year running. It means the world to me. Thank you. I love each and every one of you, and I do. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow, guys.